Open your eyes. It's breakfast with the Thomases, the ultimate prize. Mental Wellness Monday. Work it out Wednesday. Pay it forward Friday. We're seizing the day. Digital finance, harmony of love. Serving food to what those two. Rising as the beat and it. Eastern on P2G TV. Breakfast with the Thomases, come eat with me.
All right, Grand Rising, welcome to Breakfast with the Thomases. I am your host, and one of your hosts, Alvin Thomas, the Gold Banker, coming to you live one gram at a time. And I'm here with my partner.
What's up? How you doing, guys? I get to hang out with the guys and gentlemen today. As you can see, we have a smorgasbord of the men,
Right.
And loving it. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm looking forward to being kind of a fly on the wall in this amazing conversation. I'm your girl, Ruby T from Breakfast with the Thomases, and we have in our studio today, we got a brother that we've actually seen both of these brothers on the show before. Yeah. We have a guest speaker who's brought his project to the conversation today. Loving it, by the way. Oh, I bring that project back up here. The Unwritten Man. I'm excited because, like I said, I'm gonna be a fly on the wall today. That's my conversation for today. I'll be watching.
All right, but brother, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, TYRONE STEELE. Ty, can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes,
I can hear you.
So go ahead and give them some love. Let them know that you're here.
I barely hear what you said there.
Oh boy, we having some serious technical difficulties. Grand Rising. Okay, so this gentleman, we were just introducing you. Say hello.
Oh, hello to everyone. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
It's all right. You know how it go down.
Grand Rising, everybody. Yeah.
That's right. That's what's up. All right. So getting in the house with the next, we got a conversation. Someone who's going to be weighing in on the conversation, and we definitely respect and love the voice of this brother, Cornell Green. Also another author in the house. Loving it. Go ahead, give him some love.
Right. Grand Rising, folks. Pleasure to be here.
Absolutely.
Pleasure to be here with you again, Brother Tyrone. It's been a minute.
As well with you.
That's what's up. We got you, bro.
All right. So let's get into the conversation. And what I want to have happen is we're gonna get ready to go over, and Ty's gonna give us an excerpt of what we talked about the other day and how it played out. What we're gonna do is we're gonna have a conversation, right? And I want everyone to really be in a space of wherever you are and just chime in so we can have some conversation around it. Because there's no wrong answer to what's going to be said. It's just how it occurred and how you see it. All right. So, and his book is called, his manuscript or his writing is called Unwritten Man, and it's soon to be in the publishing stage. So we're out here, and it's funny. I think this is more of a good A/B test to be on the screen with, and y'all guys get to have it firsthand.
All right, Ty, I just want to give you a little heads up. You're going to have to bring that key. Either put your face in the camera or bring your head, because you get like a cut off of your nose. So you got to bring yourself up in the camera.
Can you hear that?
We like not to scare the folks out there.
Okay. So, Tyrone, can you go over what we talked about yesterday? Let people hear the scenario, how it went down, and how you viewed it in how you placed it in your manuscript.
First, what's the book about?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Well, time out. You're right. Ruby is correct. Tell us what the book is about.
Thank you. Basics.
Yeah, let's bring it to the table.
Give us some context.
Basically, the book is about male identity or man, the concept of man, and how I feel like sometimes it's an illusional concept on a society level, being that there are situations where being a man or your manhood is usurped, and in a way that sort of takes agency away from you, and it's for a split second there, it's almost as if you're not there and being a man is secondary to anything else that's going on.
Okay, so essentially the conversation from your writing is men always have to I guess reimagine what position to come into. When do, when do you get to when is the role of man as the head of the household, or where man is man where he has to be knowing how to analyze a situation and decide what position to come from, or is it man at the head and there should be no reason for any question beyond him being the man in the conversation?
Well, it's more of a in society. Everybody has a standard for what a man is, and there is no. I haven't found anywhere where there's one definition of a man worldwide. As far as what we can follow, it's a moving goalpost. The men of the '50s um, did something or acted a certain way, whereas men of the '80s and '90s and 2000s are totally different from that concept. So basically, what it is you're trying to fit into a construct that hasn't have any written rules to it. It's just what everybody believes a man is, and then everybody, of course, has a different definition, perspective of that. But it's a moving goalpost. It changes, and trying to fit in it at all times and be the man is difficult because at the same time the male aspect of it is ignored.
Mm.
Oh.
Now you said the male aspect is ignored. How is what do you mean by that? Because that's a very wide statement. Because ignored, you could be people can get just tired of hearing what you're saying because you ain't saying nothing really. Or is it that you're being ignored because you don't feel as though you're being seen as the person man? Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, with women, for example, with women, they're naturally looked at as nurturers. Okay, they're looked at as nurturers, and their femininity, it's not ever in question for the most part. You know what I'm saying? Let me put it like this: you don't know the definition of a man until one fails, and then at that point, you know what a man is because then you see what a failed man looks like. But as to be with a man at all times, not always looked up to or honored or appreciated. And in certain situations, like I said, especially when in relationships, there are times when um, being a man is secondary to what's going on, and it's sort of kind of a debilitating for a hot second to figure out where you're sitting, but then you just settle for what's going on and for the less pressure, I guess, to be the right word or lack of thereof.
Cornell, what do you think? Because I see you nodding your head.
Um, well, I just have a couple of questions. First of all, um, the premise that the role of a woman is defined and women are universally accepted as nurturers doesn't apply to childless women. It doesn't apply to lesbians. So I think we could say that there are certain presumptions or assumptions of what the role of a woman is. But I think that the thing is, well, first of all, I would like to ask this question: societal definition of a man versus how a man identifies himself. And I hear what you're saying, Brother Tyrone, because we're always expected to find our place in society based on external definitions of ourselves. But I just like to ask you, how do you explore the internal definition? Regardless of what society says, because as you're saying, that's shifting and changing. That can change from where you are geographically, what country you're in, what community you're in. But in terms of your book, do you explore the self identity of what it is to be a man?
that's the difficult part, because being that I was raised a certain way, and it's not always the same as everybody else being raised. I was told certain things about what man's supposed to be and what man's not supposed to do. So with that being said, that's all I have is that upbringing from various relatives and friends of the family that had their particular perspective on being a man.
Okay.
So when you get to that situation where all of a sudden your authority is either usurped or ignored or passed over for a hot second, you feel like almost sudden like you're not there. Um, you lose. It's almost the same feeling as when you're trying to walk up the stairs and you miss a step. You'd
Oh,
be like, oh, it's there. You missed a step, but you don't
right,
know how to get back into it because
right.
it's for a hot second, and then you
Yeah,
regain yourself. But for a
right.
hot second, you'd be like, oh, wait a minute,
Yeah,
I'm being
yeah.
pushed
You
out
lose
some
your
kind of way
balance.
or ignored.
Yeah, you lose your balance. I hear you. I hear you.
You lose your balance, yeah. So then trying to
Okay,
get back
so
in the balance,
you got it. Losing your
Mm-hmm.
it's funny, that makes a lot of sense as you're in the role of being a man, and a lot of times I have a conversation that says there's a difference between a man and a male. You have to figure out where you landing, and are you operating in which context are you having you see yourself operating from. So when you're operating as a man from your traditional upbringing, and you said you were brought up a certain way, just out of curiosity, were you brought up in a matriarchal society or a patriarchal society? Because I noticed that in my house when I grew up in a matriarchal society. So there was certain mandatory things you had to prescribe to hold the role of male, because I grew up in a female dominated household.
Mm-hmm.
So how did that affect you growing up? Like,
Massive.
So, what was your
uh,
background?
Massive.
what's my background? What are you saying?
Yeah,
I can't
yeah.
hear you, Tyrone.
Well, that was pretty much my background. I had before my father and grandfather passed away, my uncle.
Mm,
I was primarily with a single mom, me and my
okay,
brother,
okay,
and so basically I grew up with my mother and my grandmother, and I had some contact with my father and stepfather or grandfather and uncle, but it wasn't always consistent. So
right,
everything that even though I had talked to and moments where dad would say different things to me or try to instruct me on life and things of that nature, he wasn't always there.
okay,
So most of my upbringing was basically from the females in my family as to what their perception of what a man is supposed to be.
okay. Were you the old? You say you have a brother. Were you the older or the younger of the two?
I'm the older. I'm the older.
Okay,
He's 3 years
okay,
younger than I am.
okay. So, in your growing up, was because you mentioned your authority in early times. So, was a lot of kind of what would normally be the patriarchal head of the household, was some of that upon you at a younger age, even while you were still living with your mother and grandmother?
Yeah, I was expected to perform a certain way. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was. So I wasn't necessarily the man of the house in
Right.
the sense that I had to go out and help with bills and things of that nature. But I was considered man of the house because it was just me and my brother, and I was the
Right.
older, so I always had to put the example out for him. I
Mm-hmm.
always had to show a certain way and act a certain way, or live up to certain expectations. But like I said, those rules for man and manhood, they're not necessarily written down in stone
Right.
anywhere. So you still have to navigate through everybody's interpretation of what one person might think is a man, and another person would say, no, that's not being a man. So it's always that constant battle trying to figure out, well, where you fit in at and what is a man.
Right. Right. I get it. I get it. And it's interesting. I too was raised by my mom until I was 12 when she married my stepfather, who was a great man. Unfortunately, Lung cancer took him at the age of, I believe he was 54, something like that. He died in 92. But I remember before my mom remarried, even though I'm the second of four, I'm the oldest brother. I have two brothers and an older sister. And I remember like at nights when our cat would catch a mouse, you know, and she would play with them, but she wouldn't kill them. So after a while, I would have to dispose of them, and I'd be woken up in the middle of the night, and I'm thinking, hey, I'm just as squeamish around this half dead mouse as you guys are. Why I got to be the one that's got to grab it, you know? But because I'm the oldest boy, and so it fell upon me. Even like at 11 or 12, I still had to be the one.
Yes,
So
we
we
did.
That was a definite role.
Yeah, I mean, and I can really relate with that because my mom used to get me up. I grew up in a tenement building in the city, and I'm like, guess what? When you had four-legged creatures and a tail running around, mom was not getting it.
And she had
Yeah.
all boys.
And
She had all boys. He wasn't the only boy.
Yeah, but I was the one who had to get up every morning and go, Al, we got something in the kitchen, you gotta get it. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
no problem. Surprise, surprise.
Right.
But yo, I love this conversation. I really do, and I think it's most people, most of the time we don't really talk about this because this is those that unheard conversation where men are trying to solidify their position in life, but we can't talk about it because when we talk about it, it's seen as either what's that? It's not even fair. It's more pick your back up, get your back, you know, pick your balls up, get off the ground, deal with what it is. You just have to maintain it.
Right.
We have a lot of phrases that I think don't serve men well in the society. You know, man up, be a man. What kind of man are you? Shake it off, walk it off. You know, and any sense of insecurity is perceived as weakness. And of course, you can't be weak and be a man. What are you, a punk? This, that, and the third. You know, but I really like your thesis, Tyrone, of the unwritten man, because as you're saying, so much of the societal expectations, they're not coded anywhere. And you change from work to hanging out with your boys to just dealing with strangers on the street to dealing with the women in your life, be that romantic or social. And the role can change. Every context expects certain things of you, but nobody's giving you a playbook of what that something is. So you're constantly figuring it out, you know, and you kind of looked down upon if you don't know what it is. But it's like, wait a minute, I got 5 different contexts here and probably 13 different expectations. And I'm just supposed to, by intuition, figure it all out.
Which one?
Right.
Which one?
Exactly. Right. And then when it comes to just dealing with other folks, women, it's like, in a way, it's almost like they don't see it or don't want to see it. It's really weird kind of situations. Like, well, at one point they treat you a man in certain situations, but then it feels like when it's advantageous for them, then you're not the man anymore.
I hear that, and I will just say, let's just put it on Front Street here. Given the complexion of the people in this conversation, there's another aspect and element of things of being black men, and we know historically that so much has been done to undermine the black family, you know, to put black men at a disadvantage in terms of economic capabilities. You know, so we have societally where, you know, through no fault of their own, it tends to be easier for black women to get employment and have a stable income than a lot of black men. Not all, but generally speaking. And this is not accidental. This is due to, put it out there, this is due to the endemic systemic racism that still exists in this country, that never went anywhere. We can pretend that, you know, since the 60s or something, you know, civil rights laws, none of it makes any difference. You know, just because there was a black president for 8 years, none of that makes any difference. In fact, we're experiencing the backlash of that. So we have that extra added layer, you know. And then I just find personally, because I'm living now here in Harlem, here in New York, and we have this glorification of criminality in our culture.
Yeah.
You know, prisons are too often seen like a finishing school or a fraternity. You know, education is downplayed and down talked. You know, I mean, I've been hearing this. I'm 65 years old. And I've been hearing this since I was in elementary school because I'm articulate and well spoken. What are you trying to sound white? And it's like,
Yeah.
hold up a
Right.
second, hold up a second.
Right. Right.
Being well spoken is sounding white. What are you saying sounding black is?
Black is. Thank you.
So,
Yeah,
on
right.
top of the whole man identity, we have to
Mm.
face the quandary of what is it to be a black man? All this keeping it real. Well, you know what? Keeping it real
Right.
is not thug life. Okay. It's not being a gangster, a pimp, or a pusher. Okay. So we have to deal with combating that in that other context when we are just around black men. What is it to be a black man? And then with our black women, because of all these societal things, what is it to be a black man in the context of a romantic relationship? So there are, I mean, it's really an amazing thesis. And I love the title of that because you're so correct. There is so much that it's just, you know, sand written in sand in the wind.
Yep.
You know, and we're supposed to figure it out in each context. Some situations can be frustrating. Some situations can create hostility and be downright dangerous. You know, and we've got to dance through this landmine and figure it out and shifting from one situation to another. Okay, who am I supposed to be this time? You know, I'm supposed to be, you know, firm and dominant because I don't want some clown to come jump bad with me. But then when I'm with my woman, I'm supposed to be, you know, less macho, but then I'm supposed to show my emotions, but don't show too many emotions because then I'm weak and I'm some kind of a punk. And it's just, it can be like playing a game of spin the top.
Yeah.
Being a man is a menagerie of things, and it's funny because I'm thinking as you would chime in on the systemic racism of the black men and how they have essentially divided the family, putting women in positions of authority by putting them in higher roles than they would normally put them in. It makes me think back to the Willie Lynch letters and how the plantation owners separated the men from the family and then took advantage of the woman, made them feel that they had to pull the weight of everything, and they still do it till today. This is the same game plan being played.
Yes.
Just to take you back, I don't want to cut you in, so I'm gonna let you know right now that was done in a very forceful, mentally distraught way, a very physical way.
Yes.
Women on the plantation were the protectors of the well-being of their men, because you would think that it would be the opposite, where they would use the women. They figured out how to use the threatening, killing, maiming, and destruction of a male in front of a woman as a way to get her to control him.
Yeah. And
that's what's been going on consistently. Like what Cornell said, even when we went through what I call the Reagan years and all of those, the welfare queen process, where the system literally created a separation of family where the father couldn't be there. They couldn't be earning too little together. You had to be on your own. Your man had to leave you. You know what I'm saying? They actually created the system of
by design, 100%.
And it's still going on. It's still being perpetuated through working opportunities. That's still going on today.
Yes.
And the guys, I'm listening and I'm like, yeah, we got a lot to overcome together.
Just not to stop it, but we got to thank the people for being on
absolutely.
This grand day. We got people coming from B-More. We got people coming from the West Coast. We got my brother Beast Peter Warrior in the building. Thank you for being on. And we have people on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. Thank you guys for being on with Breakfast with Thomases.
Yeah.
We're on right now with the writer Tyrone STEELE, and we're talking about his manuscript, The Unwritten Man, and how men are seen and in some cases demoralized and demeaned for trying to hold the role of a man. But how do you hold the role of a man when the goalposts keep getting moved down the field? So.
And our guest panelist, Cornell.
Don't forget Cornell. Oh no, I ain't forgetting Cornell. Just trying to get it all out. Yeah. So this is a real onboard conversation. I wonder how the people out there that you're on the screen. How are y'all guys weighing in on this conversation? What do you guys really think? Men or women?
And let me ask you, Brother Tyrone, while we're waiting for the audience to weigh in. have you found, or do you find when you discuss this in terms of the concept and in the manuscript, that some people might misinterpret your intentions of thinking that you're trying to be over macho, or you're trying to put women down or something like that?
Mm.
Well, that's what I was just going to say. I don't want women to feel like this is a man versus woman type of thing.
Right.
It's not per se, but in a way, it is in a core, core value of it. But I'm not trying to start a fight between the sexes. That's not what I'm trying to do.
Right.
But at the same time, I wanted to feel like I should, because I see all the other books, that women write, and they talk about their pain point, how they feel, how they interpret it, and how they're trying to go about navigating through it without
Yes.
ever being looked at as less than a woman. But
Right.
it seems when you do the converse of that, when a man tries to come out and say, "Hey, this is our insight,"
Yeah.
then before we can really get the inside out so you can see it and understand it, it's more or less relegated to what you should have done to appease the woman. And that male perspective is just automatically just pushed out as if it never existed, and it's only about making the woman feel good because that's all women want for the most part. And I know I'm trying to speak in general, but I don't really want to make it as a hard play on it. But in general, women tend to want their feelings acknowledged before the problem is solved. So it's kind of a catch-22. If you solve the problem, then the woman feels like, well, you ain't paying attention to me. But if you pay attention to the woman, then the problem still exists, and it continues to make her feel that way. So one way or other, we're just like, damn if I do, damn if I don't. But there's no understanding. It's like the man is not even there, but he's there. So
Right.
you want the man for one thing, but you don't want him for another thing. But at the same time, he's the man, but he has to come back and appease on the other side. But
Right.
it doesn't feel like you're being the man all the way through
Okay.
handling the situation.
I don't want to cut you wisdom, but I think personally this is a great opportunity. We got into a little conversation yesterday. It was awesome on the book, on the book. And so I personally think that this would be a great opportunity for you to share the excerpt you did with us. And it's a scenario
Okay.
to give
All
everybody
right.
something to go on to preface that to. Okay.
And that's a whole scale right there. That's a
Yeah.
whole
To
scale.
get some
I want-
context
Right.
for the
Yes,
conversation.
Well,
context.
here was the scenario. I'm set it up for you. I was the female and I that were together. We were visiting one of her friends who had a female friend over. So at the time, well, I smoked, and at the time I was like, well, we need to get some cigarettes, so I'm gonna go get some cigarettes. That was the initial conversation. Now, when I returned back to the house, as I'm coming in the door, our friend's friend is walking towards the door. And as she's coming towards me, she asked me, can I help her, assist her with bringing something out of the car? And before I can say anything, my girlfriend at the time jumps up and says, wait a minute, that's really disrespectful. You need to talk to me before you can talk to him. And at that moment, I felt like more or less a child because someone has said, I can't speak for myself. You have to speak to me.
Mm.
And I had to adjust for a hot second. And my adjustment for that couple of seconds was, wait. Hold up. Why? Who gave you that authority over me? And it wasn't about trying to push my chest out and say I'm all man and macho, blah blah this that and the other.
Right.
Someone directed a question towards me, and then
Right.
someone interjected and said, "He can't answer that. You have to
Right.
ask me." And
Right.
that just really just it literally physically froze me for a second because I was like, "Oh, hold up, wait."
Right.
So now you're trying to say I'm not male enough or human enough
Right.
or man enough to
Right.
answer the question and to carry out the task without the extra, you disrespected me because you're talking to my man mentality.
Right. Well, it's as if someone took your agency from you.
exactly. Before I could even say anything, and it's all of a sudden I just had a hiccup, and I froze because I couldn't. Literally, I didn't know what to say, didn't know what to do, and I was like, for a hot second, it was like, and going through my mind, it's like, if I fire back at her, then she's like, well, why are you jumping on me?
Right.
If I say something to the other girl, so I just asked you a simple question. But then it comes in between her and the two women as far as, you know, this relationship, you know, you should have said something to me before you said something to him, which takes me totally out the conversation because now it's like I have no like, so what's
Right.
going on? And I'm looking at it like, wait. If I'm the man, I should be able to say something to resolve this, but there's no way of resolving it because the
Right.
girl asked me a question, she went on out the door. The argument started because now I'm supposedly disrespecting her, but I'm looking at it like, well, you're being insecure, which
Right.
now becomes
Right.
another insult, which compounds the problem because now I've insulted her by saying she's insecure.
Right. Which, to
So
my observation, just based on the scenario, is exactly what it is. It's. I don't even think it was so much an attempt to usurp your authority as her, pardon the bluntness of the metaphor, but her pissing on her tree.
Yep.
See, that's basically, it was a jealousy situation.
Yep.
It's like, you
yeah,
can't be talking to my man. It's like, hold up a second. First of all, there's no leash around my neck. Okay, she ain't asking me to go do the nasty in the car. She's asking me to help her out with something in the car. And
right,
if
exactly,
you and I, my lady, should be tight enough for you to understand that I can help somebody bring some packages in, and I ain't stepping out.
And see,
right,
one of the things that occur in that situation is, one, jealousy is jealousy is probably just the icing on the cake, because there could have been more. There could have been more stuff. There could have been more stuff in the area at the time, but that the package and the girl speaking to you directly was just an ignition switch to bring out stuff that she had on her mind, and it just fell out right there and there. And her saying to you, "Why didn't you ask me?" was a way of getting you to realize there's a conversation missing between the two of you.
Yeah.
She just didn't know where to put that at, and she just threw it out on the floor. In the process, yes.
Yeah. And maybe there was a conversation
demasculate.
between those women
Now,
while
yeah,
you were stepping out getting the
that's
cigarettes.
another thing. You guys were at a
it could have
mutual
been.
friend's home.
I don't know what could have happened while I was away,
Right.
but it's still that mental, and I see it amongst our people more so than anything. Whereas it's a situation where women are expected, when they know a situation, they're expected to address the woman before addressing the man. And to me, that just takes out the agency of the man altogether. Why should you have to ask her before you can ask me to help you do something when in a male-dominated society,
Yep.
you should just be able to ask me straight out.
Wow. And I want to go back to speaking to that as well. In a male-dominated society, women are never supposed to address men in the first place. If you are truly looking at a male-dominated society,
Yeah.
men don't involve themselves in women's concerns for that very purpose.
Yes.
If you ever, and I could take you to many religions, society, I would never talk to a Muslim woman's husband first, ever. Do you know why? That is considered the ultimate disrespect, and he himself would put me in place. He himself. That is the culture. This is why it becomes a problem, because we were not raised in that culture. So you don't find your manhood in allowing women to have their say with each other. You have a loss when you don't have the say. You allow your woman to stand your ground when it comes to other women instead of putting yourself in the place of that women's conversation. That would have avoided all of the crazy that went on after, because you would have learned
but at the same time, I spoke to another woman about it, and she had a totally different, totally opposite point of view. She was like, even if we were married, or in a situation, because this situation I wasn't married, so, but even if I was married, in her eyes, it's like, if we're married or we're in a situation and the woman says something to you, I don't have any problem with it. You know, it's not like she said, "I want to speak to you outside for a moment. Can you
Right.
come? Can you come with me outside?" She didn't say that. She said, "Help me take something out the car."
Right.
So with
Right.
that being said, her viewpoint is, if a woman talks to you and to help, ask her for help, and you're doing the help and carrying out the task, if in doing that she comes sideways at me, then it's all on me to correct her,
Yeah. Well,
Correct.
to
this
set
is
her
right to the
straight.
thesis of your book and to the title,
Yeah.
Unwritten Man.
Unwritten
There's
man.
Yeah.
three different contexts that you could be interpreting the situation in,
Mhm.
and how are you supposed to know? Because as far as you were concerned, this is just a person. It could be a stranger off the street saying, "Excuse me,"
Yeah.
you know, it could be an older person. "Could you help me carry these
Right.
packages?" That's how you were looking at it. But now all of a
Okay,
sudden
hold
she,
on, hold on.
We gotta
Okay, here we
share.
go. We gotta actually, we have a share. So
okay,
we have a guest. We have a guest that is responding. We were asking. So see what I see is that more females are operating in the male role, and then following, we're a little closer to the conversation. Women are operating in men's role, in the man's role, willing or unwilling. How can we get men to step up and stop operating emotionally?
well,
That
if I may interject, because then there's a reason that you've got me in this conversation, Al.
right.
I have to push back against that, the thesis of that question. Men stop operating emotionally. Are we not human beings? What does that even mean? Men stop operating emotionally. That's part of the problem we have as men. Okay, that's why you get so much violence. You go into a bar, a guy looks at a guy the wrong way, and violence could occur. There could even be death. A man shoots another man dead because he disrespected me. No, it's because he doesn't know how to process his emotions of frustration and fear. So all he knows how to do is lash out in anger. Men are allowed two emotions mostly in society: anger and fear. That's it. Anything else is seen as weakness because that's quote unquote being emotional. Look, my mother died 5 years ago. I'm not supposed to cry. You guys know I had my grandnephew here for the weekend, my niece's son. Okay. I loved him. We had a great time. And when I took him back to New Jersey, you know, late at night, and we walked him to the door because his mom was asleep. She had to work. So and plus I had to get right back to take the train back to Penn Station. So he went to like give me the bro hug. I was like, no, bring it in here, dude. You know, because I love that kid.
Right.
You know, I love him like a son or a grandson, actually. So
So,
I don't think it's that men need to stop operating emotionally. And this is, I'm going to get a little briefly into why I'm here, and then I'll turn the mic back to you, Brother Tyrone. This is the issue. A part of the core issues with being a man. Black men in specific, but men in particular. And you know, I've said that we need safe spaces for men to process this conversation that you're raising in your book, brother. We need safe spaces for men, because otherwise, that's why we need safe spaces from men. Part of the reason why women are talking about and processing their emotions, whatever have you, because let us be honest, there's a lot of domestic violence, there's a lot of sexual abuse. I don't think I know too many women that I know personally that haven't been sexually abused. Okay. I had 3 lovers in a row in my 20s and early 30s that were sexually abused before their first decade. Okay. And this is because men don't know how to process their emotions. They're not allowed to process their emotions. And so things, when things are repressed, like I say, they're repressed, and things that are subject to contents under pressure are subject to explode.
right.
But how does a man express his emotion? Even what Chris Baptiste said here.
Right.
Men
So-
need to stop operating emotionally.
Right.
I don't
But,
The
but
question
at the same time,
Brother Tyrone.
Right. Go ahead.
and at the same time, women want us to be more open with them.
Yeah.
So there's a really fine line.
Yeah.
You can only show your emotions to a certain point with
Not
the
too
woman.
open.
It's like I asked the question one time: if a man, for example, if a man is pursuing a woman, you know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie, there's a little bit of begging in doing it. So how much begging does a man have to be before he's considered less than a man?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What what I'm saying? Because you can only do so much. There's only so much begging you can do and crooning and keep
Yeah.
sweating that you're gonna be able to do with a woman. After that, it's like, please get up. You're making a fool of yourself. You this, that, and the
Yes.
other. This isn't very manly of you. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But at the
Yes.
same time, is that women never have to go through life and being told you're not woman enough for whatever the situation is. Men constantly get, like we just talked about, you got to man up, you got to
Yeah.
do this, you got to do that, and everything we do strikes at our manhood, good, bad, or indifferent. It's always about our manhood.
Yes.
So
Yes.
if you're in our maleness, the male aspect of us is never ever in the conversation.
Right. You got to be open, but don't be too open, because then you're weak.
Right.
And then you're some kind of
Right.
But if you're not
So
open
you got
enough,
to
then
balance
you're
that out.
closed
And
off.
then on top of that, I believe that women want men on a certain level be women. Women want men to be able to be like their girls. When women get together with their group of girls and they just have a ball talking, blah blah this and that, they expect that from their men as well. But that's just not how men do.
That's not reality, though. Men don't.
We don't
I'm sorry, Tom.
we don't do it the same way that women do it. Say again?
Men don't cat call hang out like that. When guys get together and we at a bar, we talk trash. Got it, get it. But when you with your woman, you trying to hear what she's saying. You're not in that ha he conversation about trying to be one of the girls. You're trying to be a man, just trying to be supportive of your woman where you at, spending time, having some conceptual, I guess, conversation that actually amounts to something. I don't see
Right.
that. I don't see that a conversation with being a man being one of the girls, because that's not something that actually occurs.
No, it's not gonna occur. But I feel like women want that
Hold on,
aspect.
hold on. But even if men to go into their feminine power to be, they try to relate to where their woman or their wife are, so they can get an aspect of what she's trying to get or derive where she's coming from. That doesn't change your manhood. That just allows you to be on her level so you can have that conversation of contact. And as a man, having to deal with the feminine power side and still maintaining the role of a man is a balance. And when we're having those kind of conversations, that's what we're having at the same time. The feminine power structure and the male, and being able to control the boundaries so they can hear and you can hear where they're coming from, and be on the same page without them feeling demeaned or you feeling diminished in the power that you hold in this conversation and building the relationship. If that makes sense to you.
And I think one of the things that we need to do, especially because you're working on this book, brother, I would just caution to be aware of the distinction between our personal empirical observations and then overgeneralizing that to the whole society, because all women do not expect that. Most of my friends are women. Yeah. But you're of course you're speaking mostly from your personal experiences, and that's the best way to speak about it. And certain generalizations are generally true. That's why they're generalizations. Generally speaking, women do tend to be more emotional, more conversational. Men do tend to be more reserved. Now, how much of that is due to our prevailing hormones of testosterone in men and estrogen in women, and how much of that is based on millennia of societal expectations that have been imprinted upon us? I think it's probably a combination of the two. I think men would do well to be a bit more expressive of their emotions, not necessarily in the same way that women are expressive in their emotions. And that is why I have had discussions with both Ruby and Al and with other peers of mine about finding a way to have safe spaces for men. It's not the same kind of sob sister situation that women have, because A, men don't work like that, and B, there's just a lot of this toxic masculinity that if men were to sit around and talk about their feelings, men would feel like, I ain't no kind of punk. What are you talking about? I'm supposed to sit here and cry. But there's look, there's a part of the reason that men die almost 10 years earlier than women do is because of bottled up contained stress that we don't know how to release. We tend to drink more, we tend to smoke more, we tend to do drugs more, we tend to deny our feelings, we tend not to address the physical ailments in ourselves. And then we're dying of prostate or colon cancer or cardiac disease or kidney failure or diabetes because even going to a doctor is seeing weakness. And sometimes it's not even seeing weakness. It's like, I got to get up and I got to provide. I don't have time for that.
Right.
I got to be the breadwinner. I got to go out there and earn. So I'll just throw a couple of aspirins, take a drink after work and just man up, walk it off.
So can I just draw a line between a couple of things? I think people keep thinking emotional means being things like frantic or, it's like when we think emotional, what you're separating is the idea that really what it is vulnerability. We're not even talking about emotional, the crazy stages, manic, that and the other. We're talking about vulnerability, the ability to be vulnerable with others, meaning yourself, your inner self being able to be shared with someone. And that's what men are really cut off from because we've been told, oh, we're not interested in your inner self if you ain't doing it, this, and this. And I get it. As a woman, I get that's where y'all come from. Y'all get that? I hope that you hear me, that my brothers hear that. But whether you know it or not, really, that's the part that, and I'm going to speak to my sisters, that's the part that's missing. Your man can't be your man who he is. Not the man, but a man, a person around you. He can't be seen as weak and be okay because we tired. I know. It's always everything, from the time you're born, everything's on the women's shoulder in the world. That's how it works, babies. That's how it works. You just have a different set of shoulders, is what I've been saying to women a long time. We just have different set of shoulders that are made for different things. I love my husband, but he ain't me, and he will never be. And that's the good part about our relationship. That's a blessing. And I want to make sure every man hears this. Your best thing is a good woman that understands that you are there for certain strengths, not all of them.
Yes. And I will say this, being open and honest with how you feeling isn't necessarily weakness.
Yeah.
No, and this is the problem that men face, that being honest about, sometimes I'm tired. Sometimes I'm scared, not of another person. I'm scared of failing. I'm scared of disappointing myself. I'm scared of facing these things that have been bottled up. But if I express these fears, these vulnerabilities, then that's perceived as weakness. And you can't be weak because that's not manly. And I think this is the fundamental thesis of Brother Tyrone's book, and that these rules are unwritten. How the hell do I be a man? And so when everything I do, good, bad, or indifferent, every decision I make, every expression I have is either a check mark in the man column or a minus mark in the man column. And how about where's the part where I just get to be a person? And I don't have to worry about walking this tightrope of man, not man, man, not man.
Yeah, that's good. Right now, as weird as it may sound, and Ruby touched on the other day, I'm not saying that I'm a transgender or want to be transgender, but sometimes I just don't want to be a man.
Yeah,
I just want to be me.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm trying to figure out. What does that mean to be a man? But I just want to be me. That's the only way I can explain it, because being me means I can be all of what I believe I am without having to fit into the construct of being a man. So there's no language for that. There is no language for that. So what do I call it?
Yes. What I'm hearing is like man as in I am a man in the generic terms versus the construct of manhood. This iron mask that we've been put in, this armor that we're bound up in, that's got nothing to do with who we are as a person.
Right.
But that's the armor we've got to wear every day, and it weighs 1,000 pounds. And we got to walk around with that.
And it's not even that we got to wear it.
Yeah.
It's not even that we got to wear it. It was put on us, and you can't take it off.
Exactly.
It's something that we got. We cannot step out of manhood and just be the individual male, because we're constantly looked at because we're men.
Yeah.
But we don't always get to express that when we need to express that. Because if you're too much of a man, you're overbearing. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? And you're controlling, and you don't really care about the woman or the people around you. But at the same time, when you look at what they call a successful man, he's selfish because everybody says you got to be selfish to be
Yep.
successful. You got to start with you first, which
Yep.
means you got to put everybody
Dog
else
eat
to the
dog
side.
world.
So
Yeah.
now you're
You know.
selfish. You don't care about anybody else. You're bullheaded. You know what you got to do. Now, if this was a group of men, and I said I'm getting ready to go out here and I'm getting ready to go do this out the gate, I'm gone. Who's coming with me? Well, everybody comes. If anybody comes with me, they come. But if they don't, the rest of the men will say, "Good luck to you.
Yeah.
We'll see you on the other side. Hope you make it." You know what I'm saying? But anybody else would be like, if you try to do that stuff, you're crazy. You're wasting your time. Why don't you just be here with me and do all this kind of stuff? And it's sort of diverting so that you can't really complete the vision that you want because the woman has something to say about it.
Yeah. Everyone is expected to be a man, but there's no operator manual.
Nope.
So
We have this imposed upon us
Right.
from birth, but they just gave us a definition. They don't give us the rules.
right, and it continues, like
Exactly.
Charles says, and it's continuously changing.
Yes.
So the so-called rules are continuously being said. This is what it is. The where they say the finish line is constantly being
You're moving the goalposts.
moved.
Moving
Exactly.
the goalposts. Sometimes they even
Sometimes
they even change the game. One minute you're playing football, the next minute it's tennis, the next minute it's soccer, the next minute it's
Exactly.
baseball.
Exactly. And you never know where you are, guys. I just want to I gotta kind of cut into Mr. Thomas before I do. Did you want to say something?
No, you're doing fine.
All right, so I just want to say one, thank you so much for being on the show. We're not ending, don't get it twisted. We got a few more minutes, but I want to say thank you to all the gentlemen who have taken the time to weigh in, to share in, and just look at what and we got Larry Wiggins on the line, our brother up in here. I want to just say this is a conversation that needs to be consistent and continue.
Yes.
It needs to be like you said, brother. You need to move this into a physical space or digital, something online, can be a Zoom, for a safe space for men. That doesn't mean a place where y'all could be weak and all of that. You could be whatever. How about we do that?
Yeah.
You could just be whatever and be around folks that accept that,
Yes.
identify, and
Yes.
be able to. And you know what? I don't even want to be a fly on the wall in that room. I just want to see the outcome.
Yes.
'Cause
And Brother
we all get
Tyrone,
together, that's
you gotta write this book. This is really a needful book. And I say once again, I love the title of it because that in two words that really breaks down the whole thesis of the idea, the unwritten man.
right.
You know, because there's what is it? What is that? That's a conversation we're not having. It's trying to define man either for or against or in terms of whatever. It's like, no. What the hell is it? It's not written down anywhere. You say be a man, and then you stop. You don't even no instructions,
That is
no
so
directions.
true. That is so true. It's like be a man, and then you walk away.
Okay.
Yep.
Do I get a set of rules to go with? Is there a book?
You know what it
Yeah.
sounds like? You know what it sounds like? It sounds like when my mother used to say, they tell them don't fall for the okie doke. What the hell is an okie doke? What is an okie doke? My mother said,
Hey,
apparently
whatever it
I'm
is, don't fall for it.
don't fall for it. I'm like, that's
Right.
those are generals, and we talk like that to each other, thinking that we dropping knowledge, and really we're just creating confusion and a
Absolutely.
setup in the same process again. And
Yes.
I want to just say, I want to say thank you to all my brothers who have actually supported, and whether you guys realize, supported and trained myself as a woman in this world around being around and seeing other men, because that's how I've gotten to learn to interact and then learn to check myself where I'm at. I get to know who you are as a woman because I've found brothers that are vulnerable. That I'm grateful that y'all have been able to be vulnerable with me.
Yes.
And I'd like to make sure that I myself as a woman shares that. That's like a magic power, ladies. I just want to put that on there. That's a magic power. Y'all looking for a man? Looking for a baby daddy? A husband?
Baby daddy, no.
The kind of guy that can actually do this is probably the one you really want to be talking to.
Yes. And I will say this in closing. As I said, I was raised by the women of my life. My older sister, my mother's older sister, my aunt, my mother's mother, and my mother's mother's mother. Those are the primary influences in my life. And far from making me weak or effeminate, that has made me a man and a human being. Because I did not have this overlay of my mother was a very beautiful woman and had lots of different suitors. She chose my stepfather, and she said to him, okay, I love you, I will be your wife and I will be your woman, but remember, I'm a mother first and I'm your woman second. And she chose who would be the best man for her sons. Okay, because she knew that she
I
needed a
heard
strong male presence in our lives.
Right, right. And I heard it from another friend of mine that was saying, it's like mothers.
Boys.
Say that one more time.
brother,
They had to be. I had to be golden. Go ahead. Say it one more time, Ty. The whole thing. Mothers.
Yeah, because we lost your audio there.
Yeah.
Right at the punchline.
Y'all know he said something powerful because that's the only time we get that.
No. Still can't hear you, brother.
We're trying to still hear you.
No.
Okay. I'm saying real quick. My daughter's trying to call me. What's going on? So she said it like this: saying mothers raise their boys to be what they believe to be the best man possible, and what they end up getting is a beta male, for lack of a better term. So when you raise your sons to be respectful of women, then you get a beta male. If not saying they're not being respectful of men, then all of a sudden you get alpha men. I know definition wise, there's no such thing as an alpha male, but most of the public says there's an alpha male and there's a beta. So the alpha men, they don't take any crap. They just do what they got to do. They don't care who's in. You're gonna be with them. You're gonna be with them. The beta male is more giving and more considerate. Takes other people's feelings in consideration for the most part, and is not necessarily alpha go-getter, overachiever type. So a lot of it comes in the upbringing. Because if you weren't raised with a male consistent in your family, then you're gonna have the tendency to listen to and cater to the women, where there are other men women call assholes or jerks, or they just don't really give a damn. Those are the ones that go out and just say, hey, I'm a man, and they just go do it and it get done, and they never get talked about because their manhood.
Right. Here's the thing. They are the ones who tend to be serially divorced. They are the ones who tend to be unfaithful. They are the ones who tend to cheat, not only in their relationships, but in their businesses.
But when they become successful, they're praised.
Well, yeah, and that's part of the problem, though.
But yeah,
that's the paradox. That's the paradox.
Yes. You're exactly right, and that's again, that's something to explore in your book. That if that's the archetype, then that's part of why the concept of manness is broken.
Right.
Because it's a little now. There's what's in between the two.
Right.
Because yes, we do want someone who strives, a striver. In fact, living here in Harlem, there's an area of Harlem called Strivers Row. We do want to strive for success, but not to the extent that we crush people beneath our feet, that we disregard people's things, that we think that everything is ours for the taking. And so, if I want a woman on the side, like in Goodfellas, they said that as a man in the mob, it was expected that you had a woman on the side.
Yep.
Otherwise, what kind of a man were you? I'm not about that life.
Right. Men of means seem to be able to have the wife, the girlfriend, and the side chick, and they're looked up to us like, hey, you're wealthy, you got the money, you got the business, you got the pull, you got the women, and that's supposed to be what the man looks like. But to get there, you got to walk over a lot of people to get to that point.
Yeah. And look at who's sitting in 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
One of the things that really come up in this conversation, I think, and I don't know whether it's overlooked or overshadowed, but men have been designed to receive validation externally all the time. Because if you don't perform a certain way, you don't get validated. You get badmouthed. If you don't do something outstanding that's required of you, or even outside of the color of what's right. you're not you're not validated, and they constructed a paradigm that says men must be validated by some external process to be in the conversation of
Yes.
success. And you know what I want to do, and I love this conversation. We got to come back and
We
do
have
it.
to do a part 2. I
But
love
we
it.
got to come back and we got to let you guys know what's going on this week and this week. So
We're gonna
Tyrone, don't go nowhere. Cornell, don't leave.
We're gonna make sure that everybody gets to get y'all connect. I love it. I love it.
Yes.
All right. So what we're gonna do is share with you a little bit of information. Today is Wednesday. I'll work it out Wednesday, and we go in on new conversations on building up our community, building yourself, crypto and business. And it's funny because it's just like it's for everybody. It's not just for business owners. We have to start adapting new ways of coming together and having this kind of conversation. You know, we teach digital financial literacy. The best way to do it is get a handle on your resources. So with us, we see that businesses are part of communities, and we are the community.
Yes, we are.
Come on out to our free conversation event tonight. Free conversation event tonight, the crypto and business. See how you accept crypto. And also, you guys, let's start talking about why this stuff is important. We just talked about who's in the White House. Guess what? It don't matter who's in the White House. It matters who's in your house and what's in your pocket. So we're going to have that discussion tonight at 8 p.m. on P2G Network to be able to, you know what I'm saying? and do you have a wallet? Those who would like to join us, it's on the website. People have been asking me, where do I get the link? I do not send these out one at a time. You are going to go to the website and you got access to everything we do. So please do look for that flyer on the website and click the link below. Have a great one in that area. But I want you guys to let them know, where can they find you? Where can this conversation continue? Sorry, Tyrone, let's start with you.
How can we connect with you?
I can.
How can we connect with you?
Connect with you to continue the conversation?
I still can't hear you.
Oh,
How can people reach you, brother Tyrone?
Your contact.
I'm on LinkedIn. I don't really have a lot of social media. I'm on Ty Boogie Baby on Instagram, and then Tyrone Steele on LinkedIn.
All right. So his LinkedIn is up, and we want to make sure you guys go there and get that information. Connect with him. Talk to this brother, and this is his manuscript. He's still building the story, so you too can weigh in and share and give him some insight to what people are talking about, because this is really what it's about. He's writing a book for all of us to have a perspective to come back to. You know, it's a conversation. And men in general, this conversation is not just for you, ladies. It's not even about you. So get your man out there and let him have some fun. Okay.
I will say this much in closing. I do have a workbook, it's like an 8-week workbook. It'll be coming out shortly with the book. So it's a book and a workbook, so you can work through this.
Okay. That sounds like a plan.
I'm looking forward to it.
It sounds like that safe space is about to happen, Cornell. If y'all got a workbook, I can see a group coming up behind it. I like that.
Yes, definitely. And just to let folks know, you can reach me. I'm cornellgreen@gmail.com. That's the easiest way to get in touch with me by email. And I'm also Cornell Green on LinkedIn. You know, just Cornell Green, no E at the end of green, all one word. Right. And you can find me there.
And he's up here. His name is up here. So you can find him at all of those platforms. Guys, we're, of course, with Ruby and Al. We're Breakfast with the Thomases, sponsored by P2G Networks. And what we teach is people how to come together and build strong. And we want you guys to know that if you're on here watching this, you are the community with us. And we'll see you in our next stream. Catch you on Friday.
Ooh, see you. Wake up and rise, open your eyes. It's breakfast with the Thomases, the ultimate prize. Mental Wellness Monday.